Welcome to Up Close and Personal, heard exclusively on malcolmpresents.com, a streaming platform heard round the world. And I do this and beyond. This goes out into the stratosphere. Today, my guest is Nancy Valen. Hi, Nancy. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? Good to
And
be.
just a story. Nancy, his mother, uh, uh, was my neighbor. And it so happened with a small world, both of us live in Los Angeles, but both of us went to the same high school,
Lincoln High
years
School?
apart.
Yes.
And we were, and a beautiful lady who passed
Thank you.
away a few months ago. But
Yes.
anyway, and Nancy is an actress. How did you get into acting, and when did you know you wanted to be an actress?
So my uncle was actually an actor and a model with Ford Models in New York City. And I saw, his example. And my grandfather owned a hotel at 77th and Broadway in New York City called the Belclair. And my mother and I and my brother would go there for the summers. I actually lived there until I was 7. We lived in a hotel. And we would go there. Then later we moved to South Florida. And then we would go there in the summers to see my grandparents. And it was just when I was there, I think I was just bored. I had gone to summer camp a couple of years and I was just seeing what my uncle was doing. And, I asked my mom about it. And we went to see Ford Models and they did not want me. They said that, it was really hard on a 14-year-old girl. They said, your nose is too wide, your chin juts out, this is wrong, that's wrong, you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was Eileen Ford, actually, who I had the interview with. And I walked out of there and I said to my mother, she doesn't want me, but get me another agent. And she said, I don't know how to do that. I said, well, you're my mother, figure it out. Anyway, she went to the corner, she opened up the yellow pages and she just looked for a modeling agent. Now, Eileen Ford was right. I wasn't going to become the next top model. However, I did work at catalog work all summer. It was fun. But then she started sending me on commercial auditions. And I was scared of that. And I went to my singing coach. I was singing a lot at the time.
Mhm.
And he said, oh, you've got to go to HB Studios, which was an amazing experience. Herbert Bogoroff Studios, I found out later, was a very well-regarded acting school. And
Well,
I fell
coincidentally,
in love with
I
acting.
took a year of acting at HB Studios.
Really?
Yes.
What? How old were you? What?
Uh, I think I was in my late 20s because what I was doing is I was doing documentary films
Yes.
and commercials. I was working
Yes.
for an ad agency. And I just thought if I was behind the camera, I wanted to feel like how it was to be in front of the camera.
Got it. Okay.
And I was frightened.
Yes, you were frightened when you got up in front of people.
I was frightened even when I got up in front of my class to do a scene that I had studied.
Yes.
I was worried, like you say, I was worried about the criticism. You
Yes.
did this
Yes.
right, you did that right, your hair doesn't look right, your nose
That's what
is
I'm
too
feeling
big.
right now. Should I change my hair? What should I do?
Right.
Maybe it's better this way. Right? We all
Yeah,
get
and
to
it
do
goes in one
that, right?
eye. Well, what you have to do is take a clipper and just clip the whole thing off and be bald.
That doesn't sound appealing to me.
Because sometimes I do that. If you looked at some of my other shows, earlier shows, I
Yes.
have this buzzer and I get it very
Buzz cut?
short. Yeah, I get a buzz cut because
Good for
as
you.
I'm getting older, it's getting more white.
You still got a good head of hair on
Yeah,
you.
and it does, but it doesn't have the body that it used to have when I was a kid. Take a look at the even at the beginning of my shows. When I have Malcolm Presents, or
Yes.
I have a picture of myself about 35 years ago with a tuxedo and a champagne glass in my hand, and my hair was dark and my beard was dark.
Oh, you sound like you're, James Bond or
Yeah,
something.
well, that's what I wanted to portray. But anyway, getting back to you. So, one other story, and I'm trying to remember her name, but it was for Ford Agency, and she was one of the world famous models, and her eyes were a little crooked, and her teeth were a little
Cheryl
space in
T.
between,
Cheryl
and she
T.
became one of the top models in the country, in the
Oh,
world.
Lauren, I forget
You
now.
got the name right, yeah.
Lauren something. I forget.
And but anyway, and that's sort of like
Yes, you
got
know,
rid
at
of the
the
mold.
time, blonde and blue eyes is really all that they wanted. It wasn't until a little bit later in the 80s where they started getting into wanting more exotic, looks.
Well,
Um,
they
but I went ahead and I modeled that summer, and I modeled, a few summers. And then when I went back to Florida, what happened was when I was at HB Studios, I was actually quite a shy kid until I got to know people. And then when I was on the stage, I felt more comfortable at that point. I felt more comfortable on the stage than I did in my real life. So it made me feel fantastic. Like I felt like really at home for the first time. So um, it was a good feeling because I felt like I was more intimate with people, not, doing what I was doing than I was actually in my life. So I kind of fell in love with it. And my grandmother used to go take me to see so many Broadway shows when I was little, and I saw that, and I think that that's what really made me want to be an actress. I just fell in love with just seeing musicals and the sets and just being taken away to kind of another world. And I thought, wow, look at how good I'm feeling from this. If I could do that for other people. So that's
yeah,
kind of how it started, and I started working actually locally in South Florida at the time. The timing was good. My shows like Miami Vice were just starting. I ended up doing 2 episodes of that. Um, I went to a performing arts high school. So I started studying when I was, quite early. And then also I went to just 1 year of a community college where I did, I was doing a lot of plays, theater, did a play at, a professional house there down in Fort Lauderdale. And then I went to New York for the summer to study acting. And I was in a 6-week program. And at the end of that, they had a showcase, and one of the agents came up to me and said, "Would you like to do a soap opera?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually would love
yeah.
to." And tell you something funny about that, but it almost didn't happen because I didn't hear what she said, and I said no. And then I went back to her. I said, "I'm sorry, what did she say?" And she said, "I asked if you wanted to be on a soap opera." I said, "Yes, I'm sorry, I misheard you." And she started sending me on auditions, and I started getting auditions, and then the callback, and then the screen test. And I was living in Florida going to school, so I would go back and forth about once a week. I'd fly to New York to audition, and then I'd go back to Florida. And I was having it was so much fun. And then by the third soap that I auditioned for, um, I called my mom and I said, please take me out of school. I'm done. I'm going to move here. And it was a great decision. About a month later, I got a steady gig on a show called Ryan's Hope. And it was so much fun. And I loved it. So, and then 4 years later, I came out to LA.
Right. I remember coming home from school, coming
Yes.
home from lunch from school. My school was walking distance to my house when I was in
Yep.
elementary school, and I used to go home, have lunch, and that was at 12 o'clock. You had all the soaps on, but at that
Yes.
time, the soap operas were 15 minutes.
Oh, really? Oh, I had
Yeah,
no idea.
Love of Life, Search for Tomorrow.
Yes. Edge
I
of
think,
Night.
yeah, I forget the names, but they were 15-minute segments.
Yes, I remember. I think Lori Loughlin was on Edge of Night, and I was so enamored by her. And I just saw her. She was a young girl, and I remember seeing her in the street in New York City, and I'm like, wow, she's beautiful. But yeah, they were tremendous, right? They're really going away now. My sister-in-law, Eileen Davidson, is has maintained something that there's only a handful of people, right, that have become tremendous soap stars, and she's an Emmy award-winning soap star, been on Young and the Restless for over 20 years. So
Yeah, they're
yeah.
people. The people, of course, I have,
I
gotten
want
away.
to age her, but it's been a while.
I have gotten away from the soaps, but people have been there. You hear from 30, 40 years.
Yes, I just remember when I was in college, it was Luke and Laura wedding, and we would be so excited. We'd all rush in our cars and drive as fast as we could home to see it. We didn't want to miss it. So it was so much fun.
Yeah. Okay. From there, where did you go?
So I came out to California after 4 years in New York. Um, and yeah, the agent that was with my agent, connected to my agent in New York, took me on. And I just had the good fortune of working, right away. Within 2 weeks, I booked my first job, uh, guest spot, I think, on Scott Baio's show, Charles in Charge. So that was a lot of fun. And I ended up, getting some films. I did Loverboy with Patrick Dempsey. I just had a great time. I was in a good space in my life, and I was feeling.
So you were having fun.
I really was. It was good. It was a great.
Now, I know one of your big things was Baywatch, because I look at that and I say, oh my God, of course, I've never seen a female lifeguard that had bathing suits that were cut that high.
Well, we all had our bathing suits made specifically
Eh,
for us. So they would actually measure us, and they would make the suit for your body. So that's why they fit so well. So yeah, so you could get, any design that you wanted
eh,
to. And I got like a halter kind of design because that made my upper body look a little bit bigger. Um, yeah, they measured it, they told you, anyway, it was.
Right. I had a friend of mine that his wife designed costumes for, I forget the name of the dance show that was very popular in the 80s.
Hmm.
Uh, but anyway,
Soul Train?
not Soul Train. No, it wasn't Soul Train. It was a lot of girls dancing.
Huh.
I remember
I
seeing
guess
her
Soul
one time.
Train
She
was
says,
more was older than that.
yeah,
And then there was Dance Fever, right?
maybe, but she said they always asked.
Mario and the two girls.
Yeah, that could have been. But she said the producers always said cut material off the costumes. They were almost going out nude.
Well, it's like the way people are today.
Oh yeah.
I look at everyone today and I think, geez, I wish I was 20 again because I would have just rocked those really short. I always just did nothing for it, just had a flat stomach. If I had to work for it, I never would have had a flat stomach, but the fat went other places. But I would have loved it today. I see these girls and they're just walking around with these, either bra tops and leggings or short tops, and they're wearing nothing. I don't know if I'm just getting older, but my eyes are bugging out of my head. I can't believe it.
No, I think it's a commentary on the movies, but I have your I know, is it your niece Grace?
Yes, Grace Van Patten.
Grace Van Patten, and she's a great actress, by the way, and she's beautiful.
Fantastic. Very
I've met her
talented.
several times, but she does some sort of risque scenes, and I don't
Mhm.
know.
She does, but
But I mean, it's
funny,
all
it's funny. My brother-in-law, Jimmy Van Patten, and I said, "Did you watch Grace's show?" And he goes, "Well, I watched it, but I had to hit fast forward a lot and close my eyes." It's kind of funny, He doesn't want to see his niece.
but,
And I say, if anyone's going to do nudity, like she rocks it because she's just completely comfortable with her body, and she's in amazing shape. So it's like nothing jiggles when she walks. It's not like a
no,
girl or
no,
something.
she's in
You
great
know,
shape, and those scenes fit into the storyline. It's not that they're
completely. They're not gratuitous. I mean,
yeah.
she does
I
an
mean,
incredible job.
yeah. I forget the name of the movie, but she's a college student,
Yes,
and it's it fits right into the movie. But I'm just not used to that.
right.
Being of the older generation, as a matter of fact, I was talking to someone.
When
Uh,
they used to just put the lights down and go to another scene, right?
right, and and it fades out, and then they come, and when they get up, which I never understood when two couples are in bed naked, and
Yeah.
she gets up. The women in the old style, they always had the sheets over themselves.
Hmm.
You never saw any body parts.
Right. Never.
I never knew any woman that would wake up and as she got up, would put a sheet over herself. But anyway, enough of that. Well,
Some people are a little more modest than others. I think it depends on the lighting. And your
so
confidence, right? I mean, some
yeah.
people are just confident no matter what condition their body's in. They're
Oh,
just
right.
confident and they just own it and rock it. I was like, great.
Well,
Um,
I remember I saw the I'm keeping on forgetting those movies. The on Broadway where they all got on stage
Hair?
and
Were they all
yeah,
naked?
yeah. I'm from New
Was
York.
it was it Jesus Christ Superstar? Which one were they all naked in?
Not G it was a musical.
Yes,
Maybe
hair.
Jesus Christ Superstar.
I think
Uh,
hair.
Hair.
Yes.
And at the end of the first act, they all get under a canvas.
It was huge
And,
news.
and then they pop up and they're nude. And
And then they were nude. Yes.
it lasted about a second. You couldn't see anything except they weren't wearing any costumes.
Now, what I find so interesting today, Malcolm, is that
And that was risque then.
yes, well, it still would be. I mean, it was a lot of nude people all at once. I think
Yeah.
it still would
Yeah,
be.
yeah, they've done things in the nude. I mean, a whole plays in the nude now on Broadway.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
and they were
it's just interesting though. You know, I heard that that someone got fired in New York, an acting coach, because they said to their students, you have to feel so free as if you were nude. And I think he said a couple of other things along those lines. Now, when I was in acting class, we would be encouraged to test that boundary if we wanted to see how comfortable we would feel on stage. And, you know, you're in an acting class, you're talking about life. Sex is just part of it. And but now I guess things have gotten to such a place where you can't say certain things. So it's interesting to me that there's more nudity than ever all over television. And all of the lyrics of all of these songs, right,
oh,
are X-rated. And but you can't say feel that you're in the nude, you know, because maybe that's an affront to a woman. It's just it to me the pendulum has swung in such a weird strange way. It just the world doesn't make sense to me anymore. I think we've gotten too politically correct, but that's a whole other conversation. I just don't understand that. You know, it would make sense more back in the day in the 70s when people were saying you can't show cleavage, you can't show nudity, you can't. But now there's nudity everywhere, but you can't say anything. So
yeah,
it's
yeah. And I'm not sure why they can show female nudity, but you very rarely see male nudity.
well, if I don't know if you saw Challengers, but the movie
No.
Challengers, yeah, it was it's there.
Well, if you had a role that you had to be nude, would you take that?
If
If it
what?
was it, if you had a part that
Oh,
you would
no one
have to
wants to
appear
see
nude.
me nude anymore at my age, but you know, I haven't done nudity. I did get a body double once in something, but you know, I think it all matters about how comfortable you feel with it. You know, because if
Yeah, that's
you're not comfortable with it, then you're not going to be able to do a good job with the part.
no, yeah,
You know?
obviously you had it's natural, when you do it in real life,
Yeah,
but when you do it in front of the camera, it's not natural.
right. Yeah.
But what I get amazed about when I watch a TV, especially now, they have all the apps, is the language they use. I remember, you couldn't use the F word.
Yeah.
That wasn't there. You didn't hear it. But now on all the new movies, it's being used, and it's not being used by juvenile delinquents like in the old days. That they were gang members and they
Right.
would do it as that. They would do it. People of all,
Well, it reflects society. I mean,
yeah,
people in government, people everywhere. I mean, you know, Tony Robbins talks about the fact that, you know, if you can just shock people a little bit, you're going to get their attention, you know. So I think it's moved more into that.
is it?
Um, I personally, I don't, I try to be a little more creative, but, you know, it's
So-
funny. We have one friend that just, you know, F is every other word. And it's just,
oh,
you know, just talking to him one day and, you know, just, can you get through one sentence without using that? You know, it's funny.
yeah.
And
When they use that as an adjective,
yes,
blank that, blank this, then
yeah,
it doesn't have any meaning. But
yeah,
when you use it judiciously, it has meanings.
right, yes.
Now, what are you looking for now? I get, you're a bit older. You still look great.
Oh, thank you.
But
Bit older? I mean, I guess that, you know, I'm definitely older. I just did a film, actually, just a small film, and I played a reporter, commentator for hockey. It's a really sweet film. They are hoping the name will be Gretzky's Office, but I don't know if that's been approved yet. And I don't know if you know, but Billie Jean King was instrumental in forming a women's hockey league. And they did that last year. I think this is, anyway, she was successful in getting that done. And it's quite fabulous because now women can play hockey. They're only getting paid between around $40,000 to $85,000 a year. However, they're getting to do what they love. And this film is about a young girl who's worked her whole life to be a professional hockey player, and it's about that draft, the Women's Hockey League draft. And then I commentate on the day of the draft.
Oh.
So anyway, that was a lot of fun to do. But yeah, I had been in a nutrition company for about 10 years, and then I went back to acting. I did some things. I did a 911. I did a Christmas movie that was fun. I did this great music video. But then I ended up, I've just had some health problems. I have some autoimmune issues, and that just actually exploded for me. My doctors have told me that getting vaccinated exploded my autoimmune issues, and now that's been proven by the CDC that the COVID vaccine can cause new autoimmune disease or exacerbate existing ones. And so unfortunately, I was one of those people, rare, that have that reaction. And so I've just had some challenges with my health the last few years, but thank goodness I'm starting to feel a lot better, and just on treatments, and so definitely improved. So I'm feeling.
Actually, if it's not one thing, it's another.
Well, it's life, right? Nobody gets out with having some challenges, right?
Now, you actually married into a talented family. Dick Van Patten was your father-in-law,
Yes, well,
and Patty Van Patten.
no one will ever be like him. He's just the funniest man alive. What an incredibly just tremendous personality. He could just make anyone laugh at drop of a hat. Just so very talented. He did 27 Broadway shows by the time he was, I don't know, I think in his life he did about 27, but he worked all through his life. He was with the Lunts, he just never stopped working.
I was telling your husband, Nels, I was one of my favorite shows was I Remember Mama.
Yes,
Mama.
you did talk about that. Dick's first series, a live series called I Remember Mama.
From 1949 to 1957.
Yes, and Nels, my husband, is named after the character of Nels.
Right.
In the series I Remember Mama, which is the character that Dick Van Patten played. It was, I believe, a Dutch family, right?
No, Norwegian.
Norwegian. Okay, that makes sense. And Nels
And
looks.
they lived on. I remember they lived on Steiner Street in San Francisco.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Something went down the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I think that Marlon Brando, didn't he, correct me if I'm wrong, played the character of Nels on Broadway? The Broadway show first, right? Or was a book first, and then they made the Broadway show.
Yeah, I don't remember the Broadway show.
Yes, yeah.
There was a movie with no, I'm forgetting the name. Peggy Wood played on the TV show.
Yes, she did. I don't have my phone, or I'd look it up, but I'm pretty sure Marlon Brando was in the play.
I don't remember the play. I don't remember the play. I saw the movie, which is a great movie.
Oh,
it makes me cry.
Why?
The Hanson family was a very moving type of show. Like a little thing like House on the Prairie type of thing about a family.
House on the Prairie.
Yeah. I like those shows. They're very heartwarming.
Yes. Where are you, Malcolm? You look like you're in a command center or a CNN.
I'm in a command center. This is my living room.
I love it.
No. I'll tell you a secret. It's called virtual.
Yes. I just thought of that. My friend the other day did a Zoom with me, meeting with a couple of lawyers, and I said, "Wow, Tammy, I am impressed by your office." And she goes, "It's not real."
Right. I have one slide that's like an office.
Yes.
I have another one that I'm on the beach.
I love it.
I want to do one which I don't have, where I'm in Coney Island, which is my hometown.
Oh, Coney Island! Did you go on the rides?
Yeah, as I say, your mom and I went to the same school.
Yes,
at
Lincoln
Lincoln
High, we
High
talked
School
about that.
In Brighton Beach.
Yes, yes, beautiful down there. I was at Brighton Beach when I was a little kid. She met her first husband when she was at Lincoln High, and I've got great pictures of them. He looked like he was something right out of like, a movie with
Oh,
the beautiful hair and just
I always used to kid her because I think the first husband or second husband was lived in Seagate,
Seagate, right?
right, which was right outside where I lived. I lived on
Yes.
36th Street in
Yeah,
Coney
right.
Island, which was a
Yeah.
block from Seagate. I used to hang out
Oh,
in
you guys,
Seagate.
oh, similar
So I
back.
used to tease her all the time that I knew him.
Oh, I love.
She said, "No, you didn't know him." She never.
I actually know him. I talk to him quite often.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I met his children and his grandchildren. Yeah,
Oh.
fantastic. I love them.
Getting back to your acting career. So, what do you have lined up, or do you have it lined up, or are you
I booked
auditioning?
out 3 years ago. I know I told you I just did that film. It was just an offer, and so I did it. But I'm not going on any auditions right now. I'm just really just concentrating on my health, and that's pretty much it for right now. But I may decide to go back. We'll see.
W-
Um,
Well, as you know, I'm friends with June Squibb,
yeah, she's
who lives in my
so
complex,
talented.
and I'm going to the premiere of a movie tonight. It's called
That's so
Thelma,
exciting.
and she's starring in it.
Name
And
of the film?
Thelma, Thelma.
What is it about?
It's about a badass grandmother.
And that's her?
That's her. She plays the lead role,
She's so
and of
talented.
course she was
And
well
how does she remember those lines at her age?
well, it's not her. I mean, she's only 94 years
Oh,
old.
94.
And actually, 10 years ago, she was nominated
Yes, for an Academy
for an
Award, right?
Academy Award for the Best Supporting Actress
It's amazing.
in Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
And like she says in some of her interviews, yeah, she's being discovered now.
She really is. I mean, she's quite distinguished. There's not another June Squibb. When you
Yeah.
watch her, she's different than
And
she disturbs the air, and
well,
she's
she has that
straight.
she always plays a sweet looking lady that has a foul mouth.
Yes, I love it. She kind of
Yeah,
looks like
because
she
when
pulled
it
that
comes
off.
out, and she didn't star, but she played with Ethel Merman
Ah,
in the 1956 Broadway production of Gypsy.
yes. Wow, I
Can
didn't
you?
know she was in Gypsy.
She was in Gypsy, and she
Is
used to
it
be a
in film
dancer
or just Broadway?
at Broadway. I think
Hmm.
she's relatively new for film,
I
but
can't
she
get that
has
song out of my head now. Light the lights, right? Was that from that?
there's
We got
nothing to hit
nothing
but
to hit but the high.
that's. Oh, by the way, just to compliment you, I heard you singing, and
Oh,
you have a good voice,
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
and I could picture you on Broadway
Oh,
in
thank you
plays.
for that.
I
I think
mean,
my voice would have been well suited in the 1940s. I like Cole Porter, but I never had a very powerful voice. Um, but it's something that I did work on and enjoyed doing musicals when I was younger. The other thing that I realized was, I tried to sing, pop type music, let's say, and even though I do have like I can dance. I feel like I have like a good sense of keeping a beat or something. But there's something, I don't think I didn't realize it at least that, when you sing, it's like being like a dancer. You've got to, there's this, you have to have a rhythm in your voice. You have to, stop words at a certain time. And it's more than just singing. There's so much
what?
to it, and then also to have a distinct voice, a different voice. Someone. There's so many stars today. If you listen to them, they have different voices. Someone like a Gwen Stefani, you know that it's her, right?
Yeah, but a Broadway
But,
singer.
but thank you for that compliment.
Yeah, Broadway songs are like acting.
Yes,
You do.
no, but I mean, there are
It's a
people
phrase.
that
It's a phrasing that you do more important than whether you can hit the high notes. It's great if you can hit the high notes,
they've got some
but
people with some incredible
oh
voices.
yeah.
I mean, very powerful, full, amazing, But thank you. But there's so many talented singers out
But
there.
I know we're going back to someone who Jerry Orbach.
Yes.
Remember, and I remember seeing him in Fantastics.
Oh, I did the Fantastics.
Oh,
You're right.
did you?
Yes, that
Uh,
was
uh, in
such
Greenwich Village?
what?
In the
Louisa
village, the
played the
original?
lead character. What is it? Louisa. Isn't it
But
Louisa?
I mean, it's try to remember the kind of December.
Yes.
And that you sort of can walk through, you can sing it through it.
That's a different, yes. But now you listen to something like what's her name? Menzel.
Oh
She
yeah.
um
I forget all those names also. There's so
I know
many.
my brain's going
But
today, but
another one of my favorites are which they walk through they act through the song is Hermione Gingold and Marie Chevalier. I
oh,
remember it well.
my mother-in-law Pat, she always talks about Marie Chevalier.
Oh yeah, and he has a good voice, but basically what he's acting when he sings.
Hmm.
And a lot of them, I go back to the old days. So I used to watch old film all the time.
Yes.
And I used to like Sophie Tucker, the last of the Red Hot Mamas.
Hmm. I didn't see that.
Huh?
I haven't seen that.
I'll
I
have to,
do remember.
which I used to play for your mother, all the music on the
Oh, she
on
must
my
have
cell
loved
phone, because she used to love the old songs.
Yes, yes. I love some of the old films. I haven't, I loved, All About Eve was fantastic. Um, I like Hitchcock.
Oh, the old movie.
That was one of my favorite movies.
Well, do you listen to Turner Classic Move?
But
Not Turner Classic.
I don't, but my mother-in-law watches it 24/7.
Turner Classic,
And
and there's no commercials.
no well, they just interrupt, they don't interrupt, but they have the breaks right in between and
Yeah,
the person telling about the film, which is quite interesting.
but
Um,
one of my first jobs, I used to work for WNEW TV. I used to be in the film department, so we used to. I was in charge of getting all the old films that they played and
yes.
make sure they got it screened. So when I liked a movie, I would screen it myself. Like,
Oh, that's so much
especially in the
fun.
wintertime, you don't go out for lunch, you get your lunch. I used to bring it to the screening room, have a
Yeah.
few of my friends come over, and we'd watch an old movie.
I had no idea that you worked there, that you did that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. What
this
a
was
fun
before,
job.
we used to do 16 millimeter films. No one had 16 millimeter projectors. So it was fun. But anyway, would you believe it? Our time is up, or half hour's up.
What is up? I love talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on.
And well, we'll have you on the next time before when you get your next big role. As I say, you're still a
Okay.
kid.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm still a kid.
to think of June.
Yes, I
And
will.
by the way, she's coming out with another movie
Yes,
that she
really.
starred in that was directed by Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, I love her. Scarlett Johansson's fantastic. Nels, my husband, who you're going to be speaking with, he was actually the tennis technical advisor for her on a film. And I had the pleasure of meeting her. And that's wonderful that she's directing.
Well, I had an interview with Nels, but for the technical difficulties didn't go through. But I'm going to repeat it because he was telling me some of the stories with as a tennis pro. Wow.
Yeah, he has endless, endless stories. I look forward to watching that. Thank you
Okay.
again, Malcolm, for having me on.
Anyway, thank you for joining me.
Okay, we'll talk soon. See you soon.
And you're listening to, what are we listening to? You're listening to MalcolmPresents.com and the show Up Close and Personal. And we'll be once a week, we'll be a personality, sort of the same as Nancy, that's lived a very adventuresome life and a good life, and she has a lot more to go. And you can hear us again on MalcolmPresents.com. Bye. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.